Hello, hello, hello. Hi, loves. Wait, is that working? Okay. I had to come and sit out here and share this glorious snow with you. And the snow inspired my outfit today. I had to just go fully in alignment with the snow. Anahita June here, self-expression and leadership mentor to women worldwide. Hello, hello. If you're just joining. Isn't this snow so beautiful? It just really inspired me to come and record this for you outside. And I am just so, yeah, I'm just loving it. It inspired this. When I woke up, it's just so beautiful. And what I'm looking out on is so, so phenomenal as well. And I've just been so fired up. These conversations I'm having with women around what it is to really embody the feminine and what we're called to at this time. And I actually, this is interesting, as one who does the work of really embodied feminine leadership and teaching women how to have access. Access is the primary key word, the intelligence of the feminine. I don't believe that what the world needs is hyper feminine women. And so stay with me on this, right? Even though people come to me to activate and remember the feminine and have access to the intelligence of the feminine within themselves, I don't believe that what we need is a world of women who are just super hyper feminine. What the world needs is the leadership of women, and the leadership of women requires that women, as well as men, but I speak to women, have full access to the fullness of who we are. And who we are is the yin, the feminine, and the yang, the masculine. We have all of it. So what the world is asking for is to be able to cultivate the level of presence, inner awareness, and relationship with self that can dance between these polarities in any given moment to moment. What is the moment calling for? But unfortunately, this is the truth of it, right? Unfortunately, the world that we live in is a hyper masculine world. We've been indoctrinated into the masculine paradigm. And so it's all been about the doing and the doing and the doing and the being worried and holding it all together and really holding it all together and holding it all together. I mean, this is the plague of the corporate girls. I have been talking to so many recovering corporate women, and I'm watching them cry, but they're like running their emotions through their minds instead of just letting it come out. Or I'm watching them cry and they're like, biting their mouth, like holding it in. And they have this belief that if they don't actually do everything, that everything will fall apart. And so this is how deeply we're steeped into the masculine paradigm. And the reason I'm going here is so that I can tie it back to this flow that we really need to embody and get to embody. And each one of us is a win. Each one of us that is able to come into this level of wholeness and integration within ourselves is a win for all of us, because we're all doing this together. And I know so many incredible men who are doing the amazing work, leading the way, doing their own work, teaching the work. But I'm really talking about the women right now. But here's the thing, when you are so steeped in the masculine paradigm, then things like self-nurturing, qualities like sensuality and beauty and softness and slowness and desire, they become luxuries. They become something that we're going to maybe have later rather than resources now. Right? The place to be resourced from. So this rise of the feminine, in part, is around understanding how to source the vision, how to source the action from the feminine principles. It doesn't mean that we lean out of action. So there's two things that I hear, right? One is for the women who've been super in corporate or in the masculine paradigm, what I hear is, I'm afraid if I let it all go, if I go into the feminine, into my desire, into my pleasure, everything will fall apart. I won't be able to provide for my family. I won't be able to do this. I'll lose my, just everything. I'll become a homeless bag lady on the street. That's one version. Then there's the other version that has been so wounded so wounded by the masculine paradigm that she decides to actually completely throw out the fire and the forward movement and the inspired action and the leadership, because whatever model there was for the integrated masculine, or there wasn't one, right? So it was just the wounded masculine, not just in men but in women as well, that she decided to completely lean out of taking any action for herself, right? So these are the two things that I see. And so what happens is, the one who's bought into, if I let it all go, I'll become a bag lady, she never fully embraces the feminine paradigm, because she really believes that she would embrace the feminine paradigm of desire and beauty and sensuality and aliveness and all these things that are phenomenal resources. And when I say resources, I'm talking about when you drink from this well, abundance comes. You become magnetic. That which is yours comes with less action, with less effort. It's a completely different paradigm, right? But one of the things is that she just won't let go. She's too afraid to let go. And the other thing that happens is when there's been a lot of wounding around the masculine, and there hasn't been a modeling of the integrated masculine, whether in men or women, then she completely she rejects it completely, and it becomes all about the feminine. And this is not what the world needs. The world needs women and men, but women who have access to the polarities and the two, and these aspects, like not just the two, the multiple dimensions and aspects of self, right? That's really like power. True power is the ability to stand in the full ownership and oneness of all that we are. And the ability to create effortlessly has to do with the ability to moment go from the yin and the yang. Like, what does this moment call for? Right? One moment might just call, like, if, like I could be sitting at my desk and I'm writing an email, and the moment just requires like a lot of like spinal undulation and breathing before I even know what wants to come out. So the sourcing has to be from the feminine. And I don't know how else to say this, how many times to say it. Like, I had a woman in my Beauty Unleashed program last year. When she came in, she had been in the masculine paradigm a lot. She was a business owner, a leader. And when she came in, she had 2 businesses that were in the red, in the negative for 2 years. And within 6 months of us doing the work of her embodying the feminine was her first 6-figure year. Now, I don't teach money. That's not what I teach, right? And I don't teach business. And she knew that. She was like, I knew I didn't need a business coach. I knew I needed a different paradigm. This is like what I really just want all of my sisters to know. I'm not inviting you to throw out your fire. I'm not inviting you to throw out your leadership. When I invite you into the feminine paradigm, where there's aliveness, beauty, sensuality, desire, self-nurturing, like where the softer qualities live, they're meant to source you and to be your resource. They're not meant to just take you away and you just stay there and you just get washed down the river. No, I'm inviting you into the embodied feminine leadership. That means you have access to these places, and then you have access to your fire, to your leadership, to your vision, to your ability to take action and make things happen. But that what comes first is the feminine principle. And so to me, this is, it's funny because I have this program called Beauty Unleashed, and I wanted to just talk about it briefly because people say, oh, beauty, right? And I do this part, right? We do the aesthetic because it's so fun and celebratory. And honestly, I feel like we've gotten so lost in the practicality of this life. And that's part of the masculine paradigm, is like super practical, where the feminine like is juiced up by beauty. The feminine wants to slow down and buy flowers and put them on her desk and light a candle and, just bring in those qualities. So we do that. We do that work. We do the celebration work. But the ultimate is the ability to be able to stand in the full ownership of all that you are. So whatever you are, right? If you are wild, if you are a little girl, if you are sexual, if you are angry, if you are desirous, if you are creative, if you are playful, if you're outrageous, if you're a misfit, whatever you are, the ability to stand in the full ownership of that is what beauty is. And you cannot have that level of permission to self-express yourself if you have never seen yourself, if you have not seen how effing magnificent you are. I'm so glad this is landing for you. if you haven't seen how magnificent you are. And so that's why I start with the visual. That's why I start with the colors and the clothes, because I need the ladies to see how magnificent you are, so you can let go, so you can step out of the masculine paradigm as the way. It is not the way. It has been the way. And look at where it has gotten us. Look at our earth. Look at where we are. We are killing each other. We are depriving our earth. And everyone I know, everyone that comes to me is exhausted in proving and working so hard. And I'm not saying that you don't have to put in effort or that you don't get to work, but what I'm saying is that the feminine principle gets to be the primary foundation, the place where you source from. And then you move it out into the gifts and into the leadership. And if you have this plan, and here's the thing, I think having models is really important. Having guides, mentors, containers is really important. When there isn't a plan and a modeling, that's when I see those women who were so wounded, like who burned themselves out so fast or so long that then they swing, the pendulum swings all the way to the feminine paradigm. And now they like talk all about the goddess, but they can't pay their bills. Right? And they serve the feminine and they do the body work and they do all this other stuff, but they're not able to take care of themselves, which impacts their quality of life and their quality of their leadership. So my invitation is, if you are working really, really hard, just that's the place to like stop and invite yourself into a different paradigm, a completely different paradigm. And a paradigm shift like this, honestly, will feel super threatening. And that's the initiation. If it does not threaten your current existing reality, it's not going to be like, it's not going to have the reward that it's ultimately going to have. But when you shift, like the shifting of this paradigm, it's the most beautiful thing, because the first thing is that initiation. The first thing is the recognition of where I am standing. This operating system, the masculine operating system, has drained me, has burned me out. It is not serving me. That is the first step. And the initiation is going to feel fiery, because oftentimes your identity will actually feel like, I'm going to die. What? She's telling me to put my desire first. She's telling me to believe in my desire and focus on beauty and like spend money on clothes and making the house beautiful. And she's telling me to like sit and breathe into my yoni and my pelvis. And what? I don't have time for that. I got a house full of kids to support and I got a mortgage to pay. And it's like, and especially if that requires guidance, it's like, oh, that is just like so frivolous. Let me go spend money on a business coach. Okay. That's one way. That's one way. Or another way is to remember, for my sisters, that you are the source. The feminine is the source. You are the source. I know we are the source. I have a belly. I know I'm the source right now. Right? There's no denying it. We are the source. The feminine is the source. The feminine principle is the source. So if you want to make it hard, stay in the masculine paradigm. But I'm letting you know that there is a place where you get to come home to yourself, and it has to do with aligning with your essence and the truth of who you are. The truth of who you are. And part of how I teach this is through the visual, through teaching you how to see yourself as vibration and how to align with that vibration. Meaning your physicality, how to see your physicality as vibration and align with that vibration in a way that makes you come into focus with yourself, first and foremost. Makes you come into focus with yourself, because when you see yourself, it's so much easier then for me to support you to lean back into who and what you are. But until you have seen yourself, and trust me, most of the world has not seen themselves. Everybody who's the hair color they're wearing is radically different than their natural hair color probably has not seen themselves. And I see this all the time, right? I talk about it. When I see my Persian sisters who have black hair dye their hair blonde. And it's like, oh, honey, you have this mysterious, mystical black hair. And then you've gone and made it the vibration of like what patriarchy says is the beautiful expression of the feminine, right? Like how much are we going to deny that we already are sourced and resourced in what we are? And so this is just what I'm so passionate about, is that in order for the leadership of women, which is what this world is needing and asking for, it is not about becoming hyper-feminine. It is not about losing the ability to have structure or take action. None of that. It has to do with having access to all that we are. The more access you have to the feminine and the masculine, the more you can be present in the moment to your true power, and the more permission you have for the different parts of yourself where they're not cut off because the world said, like, you can't be this or you can't be that, or corporate girl doesn't do that, or a good girl doesn't do that. Fuck the good girl. Fuck her. She is not serving you. She is not serving you, not even a little bit. But if you have guidance, and if you have a container, and if you do conscious work, then you don't have to become the wild girl, and the wild girl ruins everything. The wild girl can just become another resourced part of you that feeds you, because we need that wildness. We will die without it, but not rabid, right? Not like that. Wild. It's different. There's all of these aspects that carry all these codes, that have all this intelligence that live inside of us. And this is the feminine principle, is coming to that space of permission, exploration, seeing the self, and coming into that right relationship. So I had to pop in here and just share this with you. If you're watching yourself be in one side of the pendulum or another side of the pendulum too much, then invite yourself to see how you can dance, how you can go into your edge of the places where you have been so afraid to take time. You know, like, one of the ways I do it is we have the doors to Beauty Unleashed open right now, and I'm serving my Power Spot program right now, and we have Dismantling the Patriarchy. There's all these things going on, and one of the things that I have to do, this is like, I have to do it to keep myself in the feminine principle of being resourced, is when my list of things to do is so long, I will move self-care to the top of the list. The top of it. And that means my team is waiting on copy from me. My other team members are waiting for training from me. Like, people are waiting on stuff. And I know that, like, doing that stuff, the doing, right? The doing and the leadership and action is great and it's important. But I know that if it's not sourced and resourced from the feminine, then I am effed. Like, I am literally turning my own power down about 50 to 60%, operating at 40%, which means I have to put in more effort, way more effort. And I hear this all the time, like, from people saying, I'm explaining myself and nobody's getting me, and I'm trying to tell them about my vision and nobody's getting me. That's an alignment issue, my love. It has to do with you being aligned with who and what you are. And A, if you have forgotten that you are the source, well, that's the first problem. 2B, if you have never seen yourself properly, seen your magnificent self as the vibrational codes that are encoded in you from Mother Nature, like the divinity of you, if you've never seen that and learned how to communicate it externally, then there you go. That's why you have to work so hard. You don't have to work hard when you're in alignment. And I'm not saying you don't have to work when you're in alignment. I'm saying you don't have to work hard, meaning you don't have to be turned down at 40%. Because if I'm at 40%, can you imagine how much I would have to do versus when I'm at 100%? It's a completely different story, right? And so this affects every area of life. Like, I have another client who's in this industry where she's literally like, busting through realities and like totally like a glitch in the matrix, that she would call herself. And there was a time when she just like really complained about the industry this and the industry that. And through her coming home to herself, through her understanding and doing the work of Beauty Unleashed, right? Actually going through that journey, that transformative journey, coming into alignment with herself. Now this industry that was so like the place where her soul was dying and she was the crusader, there are allies coming in. There are people where she'll show up to like an assignment and someone is sitting there literally saying to her what she believes about the opportunities for women and the voices of women in their work. And what do you think that is? That's what I'm talking about. You could call it magic, right? But it's alignment. It's when you come into ownership with who and what you are, and you stop apologizing and you stop seeking, and you really own the source and resource that you are. Life comes to you. It becomes easier. It becomes so much easier. So I wanted to share that with you.